Guys, Dizzy here. Alright, so what we're going to be discussing today is team building for Acheron and what would be possibly the best teams for her, and what are the possible team lineups, and what are the pro and cons of using specific characters together. Okay, so the main thing that at least when it comes to Acheron, right, is her trace ability, which kind of limits who you can use her with. Okay, the trace ability where in order for her to get a significant buff to her basic attack, her skill, and her ultimate, she requires to have one or two nihility characters together in the team with her, which takes up 3 of the 4 slots already. Okay, unless if you are planning to get an E2 Acheron, which is going to be pretty hefty, or if you're going to get really lucky, then yeah, okay, if not, then we are taking a look at 3 of the 4 slots already being taken up, so we have to get quite creative in regards to how it's going to work. Okay, on the flip side though, okay, the positive thing is that if you have 2 nihility characters, okay, the fact that these 2 nihility characters together with Acheron is gonna boost her damage up quite significantly, to the point where you most probably would not need a harmony character to buff her up. Okay, and this is without considering what the nihility characters actually does. Okay, and of course, in order for you to have the nudity characters inside as well, okay, they have to constantly implant debuffs on the enemies in order to speed up Acheron getting her ultimates up. Okay, so let's take a look to see what are the team compositions that we can actually use with Acheron. Okay, so to start out with, I'm gonna go with like most controversial team that you possibly could put, which might have some interesting results. Okay, as you can see down here, I have Serval as a placeholder for Acheron. Okay, so the team that I was talking about in regards to being very controversial would probably be Kafka, okay, and Black Swan. All right, why? Because they are all DPS characters. Okay, Kafka, although she is a dot enabler, she can bring the backloaded damage for all the dot teams forward, and Black Swan is going to supplement that, and then you're going to be having Acheron, which is a more true bred DPS character. Okay, if you just take a look, at least in terms of like damage potential with these 3 together, okay, it can be quite scary. All right, however, it could also say that they're gonna cannibalize each other's damage, but I'm just wondering whether even if they do cannibalize each other's damage, do the 3 of them together bring out such an absurd amount of damage as a team overall. Okay, but the main thing is that because they will be lacking their own various supports, of which Black Swan would still be considered like a support for like Kafka, and also a support for Acheron, and she does her own damage as well. Okay, the only way that I can see making this team work would be to put Ronmei and just go hyper offensive and just obliterate everything that is on the field. Alright. Runmei, as we all know, she does have some sustained capabilities because of her break effect going twice, okay, as part of her abilities. Okay, and if timed correctly, that can be used as a sustaining factor for the whole entire team. Okay, an issue with this team would be skill points, because everybody will having 3 DPSs, everybody will want to use skill points. Okay, but like if you change it to, if you change Runmei to Sparkle, I don't have Sparkle. Alright, okay, to funnel the skill points. Okay, I don't think that Sparkle can support the whole entire team, which will just kind of like fracture everything, I will feel. Okay, and so to kind of like keep everything balanced in terms of like the DPS outputs for all three, and the whole team wouldn't make sense in that sense. Okay, so because of the skill point issue, this might not necessarily be quite a worthwhile, but when I do get Acheron, I will be testing this thing out, because honestly, I mean, it's quite an interesting team to kind of run and see, like, what kind of crazy numbers they can actually do, and whether they will do crazy numbers if everybody's all put together. Okay, and the fact that, like, this is probably like will be like almost like a dream waifu team for me as well. Like, all 4 characters will be gorgeous, and putting all 4 of them in the same thing would probably be like a dream come true for me as well. Okay, but other than that, like, in terms of like viability, we'll have to test that as we get along. Okay, if we go look at other options that we might have, okay, I think Ella would definitely be an awesome pick
セーバルさん、いつも言っています
for
が、ちゃん
Acheron.
と表示に合わせるように。
Simply because for Pella, okay, she can do her debuffs pretty quickly from her skill, from her ultimate, and she can ultimate pretty fast as well, because we all know that, like, Pella, when set up correctly, she can 2-turn ultimate like almost indefinitely. Okay, and because of that, that will be a powerful thing for Acheron, because Acheron then can build up the slash stream stacks, and she can ultimate a lot quickly when you have Pella on the team, and she has AoE defense shred. Okay, like what mentioned, like, the fact that, like, once you have 2 nihility characters in the team, that will already function as having a harmony character on top. Okay, so you actually don't really need a harmony character as long as you have 2 good, properly built up nihility characters to go along with Acheron. Okay, so with Pella, okay, who else can you put in? Okay, of course, top contender would be Silverwolf, even though she is going to be only single target. Okay, it doesn't really matter, because the main point is that, okay, number one, she has her own shredding, okay, on top of Pella shredding, okay, and Silverwolf can land debuffs very fast through everything. Her skill, her ultimate, her basic attack. Okay, and because of that, she will be, if you can build a fast Silverwolf, okay, and probably with some break effect to kind of like help her own damage out as well, I think that would be very, very beneficial for Acheron. But I think at this point, right, okay, I think the a good way to go about it is that you just have two super fast nailability characters, okay, slow Acheron, just to kind of like maximize and just bank on Acheron's damage, right? Okay. Then for this kind of team setup, of course, like if you want to go aggressive, again, you can have Ronmei in the mix, okay, to further boost up Acheron's damage in this kind of scenario where the focus is more on like Acheron and you're not really going to care too much about Pella or Silverwolf, right? Okay, then other harmonies supports can come in as well. Okay, Ting Yang of course is going to be wasted because of the energy regen, but Ting Yang can be used for her energy regen can be used for like the supports to kind of like speed up their ultimate generation, and then which will support Acheron instead. Okay, but then we can have Bronya or we can have Sparkle. Okay, that's going to be doing advance forward on Acheron, and that could be something that we can actually play around with. So you have a slow Acheron and you have a speedy Bronya or Sparkle, and yeah, so you're just gonna keep giving turns to Acheron, okay, to build up her stacks and then also to buff up her damage just to kill everything that's on the field. So this is also another viable thing to do again, but then this is a very hyper offensive team. Okay, it's almost like I mean, if you take a look at it, it's hyper carry in its principle, where the purpose of every single character that is on the team is meant to buff that one DPS up to the moon and just kill everything on the field. Alright? Yeah. So if you want to take a more balanced approach, okay, and if the content requires you to have some sort of defense capabilities, right? I think when it comes to sustain options, we can talk about Fushuan, okay, because Fushuan, I would say, at least when it comes to sustain, right, probably she is one of the best for Acheron. Simply because not only is she gonna help to sustain the whole entire team, okay, she has a crit rate buff, okay, and if you have Fushuan at E1, okay, you're going to buff her crit damage as well, so she is going to act as a sustain and a harmony character at the same time. Okay, so this is something which is actually quite viable as well. Okay, and if you kind of run what's that Lycon, okay, Fushuan, okay, if you want to use her even more as a utility, okay, but of course if you remove all her other Lycons and then you switch it out with what's that Lycon, I remember, I think it's this one, Trend of the Universal Market. Alright, okay, basically like this Lycon will grant Fushuan the ability to land a debuff. Alright, every turn that Fushuan is going to take, okay, she has a chance to actually increase she has a chance to actually deal a dot which is considered a debuff, okay, and that would also kind of like speed up Acheron's ability to cast her ultimate. I'm just not too sure, like, in regards to, like, you know, her stats will just generally kind of like fall off, because as you can see down here, once I switch to this Lycon, my Fushan went from 8k HP to 6k HP. Her defense, I think, won't really show down here. It's 1.8, but probably from the buff from down here, she will still get a substantial amount. I'm not quite sure whether it's reflective here or not. Let me just kind of switch off a Lycon and see whether that actually makes a difference in regards to her defense. Yeah, actually it does. Fushan's Lycon still gives her more defense. Yeah, but I'm not too sure whether yeah. So kind of big, simply because I think the base defense is a lot higher. Yeah. But anyway, okay, so that is actually an option when it comes to playing this team. Okay, so that will be something which I will also test as well. I mean, because I think when Acheron comes in, she will be the premier DPS for quite a number of people, myself included. Especially since I have skipped Jinliu, and I am going to be skipping Jinliu in this rerun again for Acheron. So, like, you know, Acheron will definitely be the DPS which I'm gonna go all in on in regards to, like, resources at this point of time. Okay, yeah, so then we want to take a look to see, like, you know, what is like the best teams for her. So this setup looks good simply because of the speed in which, like, you are able to inflict debuffs onto the team, and at the same time, okay, they each play their own role to either defense threat or buff Acheron as well. Okay, if you don't have Silver Wolf, okay, another good option to have would be Gwynaifen. Okay, simply because Gwynaifen, okay, she is able to implant Fire Kiss, which acts as a separate multiplier as well. Okay, so you have the defense threat from Pella, and then you have the increased damage taken by the enemies from Fire Kiss. Okay, so that has its own value as well, and the fact that Gwynaifen is and I have her built up pretty fast down here, simply because I have her on a break effect build. Okay, yeah, I have her at like 173 at this point in time. Okay, but probably I would change the Lycon. Okay, I didn't mention this on Silverwolf, but I'll probably hit that back there again just to talk about her Lycon, because I missed out talking about her Lycon. Because Lycon options are also going to be very important on who's going to be having what. Okay, so, like, you know, currently I have Good Night Sleep Well on Gwynaifen, but probably once, if I'm going to be using that, okay, I'll probably be changing it to this. Okay, so basically this is going to cause you to cause another debuff on the enemies. Okay, when whoever that's wearing this Lycon, okay, and the enemy is not already ensnared, there's 100% chance to be ensnared. Okay, so an ensnared enemies is gonna get defense shredded. Okay, so this will be separate from, like, Palace defense shred to begin as well. Okay, so when you talk about Lycons, okay, for the supports, right, okay, Of course, right, this is a valuable icon that you need to have on either one of the nearity characters other than Acheron. Acheron will have, you're going to be using either her signature icon or Good Night Sleep Well for maximum damage, okay? But this is one icon that you need to have in order to speed up Acheron's stacking for the points for her ultimate, okay? Pella can just continue to use this and then just focus on getting the 2-turn ultimates, okay? But another noteworthy Lycon that you can also consider using is Silverwolf's Lycon, okay? Because Silverwolf's Lycon will allow you to also have a similar effect to Resolution Shines as Pearls of Sweat, okay? It's able to inflict the debuff as well. And targets with Aether Code will have increased damage as well. So Silverwolf's Lycon is actually really good for this. Okay, so yeah, I can't really remember whether Welt's Lycon will be good because I don't have Welt's Lycon, so I'm not really too sure on that. But talking about Welt, the other person that we can take a look at using is Welt. Okay. Yeah. As you can see, Pella is kind of like the mainstay down here. So it's like Pella is like going to be like the jelly for like Acheron's peanut butter and jelly. Okay. Other than like probably maybe using Black Swan. Okay, for the defense strat. And if you're not already pairing Kafka together with Black Swan, then that is another obvious pairing that you can utilize depending on the elemental advantages as well. Okay, but other than that, Pella is actually really good together with Acheron, and then you can have Welt. Alright, okay. So I'm not sure whether you guys know this, but then Sustain Welt is a thing. Okay, simply because of his ultimate. Okay, his ultimate, okay, can basically imprison the enemies for 1 turn. Okay, all right, and this is especially strong if you time it well. Okay, you can utilize Welt as a sustainer, and you don't need to have a sustainer. In fact, because of this, then the 4th slot can be another harmony character. Okay, and they have many instances where like Welt plus Runme is actually a very crazy combination as well. So this is looking to be something, if you're looking for a more balanced build or team build, I would say I think this is as close as it can get, because Welt together with Runme is going to help out, at least in terms of like the sustainabilities, while just both of them being there is going to buff the hell out of Acheron as well. So these are at the moment, I can see this being one of the best teams to use for Acheron, right? Yeah, of course there are other combinations as well, and then we have to wait to see what other characters are going to be coming up, because I mean, from whatever information there is, at least when it comes to like Robin, for instance, okay, she is going to look to be somebody that is going to have very similar capabilities in regards to, like, let's say with Ranmei, in terms of being able to buff the whole entire freaking team. Okay, and in these kind of scenarios where, alright, you have Acheron with 2 nihility characters, and then if you can have another Ranmei, let's say for like MOC, then you can put that on the team and they can function just as well, and that would be really awesome for Acheron. So which is why, like, after Acheron, I'm probably going to be saving everything else for Robin, okay, and at least get 1 copy of her, okay, and then we'll see how it goes from there. All right. So yeah, well, of course there are other options as well that we can take a look at, but I think when it comes to for Acheron, right, I think these are the characters to just kind of like focus on when it comes to team building for Acheron. Okay, there are of course, like, other nihility characters that we can look at using, okay, but more for like elemental advantages. I think I've only haven't covered, like, Sampo and Luca. Yeah, but those are also additional options that you can use. It's just that, like, I feel that their abilities don't mesh as well as the rest when it comes to Acheron's usage, but are still just kind of like viable as well. Okay, because Luca, I haven't really used him much, but from what I heard, he relies heavily on in terms of breaking. Okay, and he does has his own debuff abilities as well, because he's nihility and he's more of a dot character. I think same with Sampo just tends to be more AoE. Okay, but personally I just tend to prefer to use Green Iphone, okay, if I am not going to be using Silver Wolf. Okay, simply because I think my Silver Wolf is not built as optimally for Acheron as it is my Green Iphone, but I don't know, I might swap their gears and see how it goes and things like that kind of thing. So definitely when it comes to when Acheron drops, I think there needs to be a lot of testing to find out really what are going to be the best the teams to go along with Acheron. Okay, however, so far, okay, the only thing which we haven't really kind of touched on much are the other sustain options for Acheron, okay, because one other person that will be coming out as well together with Acheron is actually Gallagher. So he is actually somebody that would be useful, okay, because in this kind of, like, let's say, setup, right, okay, and then where you are sort of like missing a sustain, let's say, like, okay, you're not going to be using sustain well, and you're going to be using let's say Silver, all right, okay, Gallagher, okay, has the ability to implant 2 debuffs, all right, from his ultimate and from his enhanced basic attack. Okay, so if you have another character, so you have all 4 characters now being able to I'm just gonna put this in a placeholder. You have all 4 characters being able to implant debuffs on the enemies. Okay, I think it's almost like a guarantee that every 2 turns Acheron is going to be casting her ultimate. That's pretty fast, and if her damage is crazy, okay, just imagine every 2 turns she's dishing out that kind of damage. She's just gonna obliterate everybody on the field. Okay, so Gallagher would definitely be somebody as an option. to put together with this whole entire team, just to implant debuffs to make sure that Acheron is gonna be really fast in terms of building up her ultimate. Other options of course still work, like, you know, you got Locha, which is just a very comfortable healer, but then it's not really going to add much value, at least in regards to, like, you know, Acheron's abilities and things like that. He's just there to sustain, and that's it. Okay, all right. And the other, I don't know about Aventurine. Okay, I heard that at least when it comes to Aventurine, he does give crit damage bonus, so that can be an option to kind of like boost up Acheron the same way that Pushan does. Okay, so but then I haven't really taken a good look at Aventurine yet, so I can't really say that much for him, but he is still an option as well. Okay, all right, so just to kind of wrap it up, okay, I think at this point of time, until further testing, a super aggressive team like Kafka, Black Swan, and Runmei, whether it will work together with Acheron, we have to wait and see. Okay, probably have to do some testing. But other than that, okay, I think at this point of time, right, okay, it kind of like boils down to, at least when it comes to supports for Acheron, it boils down to 3 characters. Okay, we are looking at Pella. Okay, we are looking at Silverwolf. Okay, and we are looking at Welt. Okay, and any combination of these 3 as the 2 nearity characters together with either, in my opinion at least, Fushuan or Gallagher, okay, for sustain, or if you want to go hyper offensive, just put Runmei in there. And I think that is, at this point in time, will probably be the best team composition that you can come out for Acheron, unless if you are lucky enough to have her at E2, then I think that totally changes a lot of things, because you have a lot more flexibility in regards to who you can slot in, and her damage is just going to go through the roof, to be honest. Yeah, I hope everybody will be lucky enough to get an E2 Acheron. I hope they do get lucky. I hope so. I doubt it, but because the last few times I've always been shafted. Okay, but at the very least, like, you know, I'm guaranteed to get E0 Acheron, because I lost my 50-50 to Yanqing during Sparkle's banner. So I just kind of like moved on, and I'm just gonna go with the banked E0, and then I'm gonna pull for Lycon. After that, I'm gonna try for E1 and E2 if I have the necessary resources. Okay, that's about it for this video. Thank you very much. Okay, leave a like, some support, and subscribe to receive more further content from me. All right, okay, thank you very much, guys. See you guys in the next video.